right. So you had an amazing career in the fashion industry. What memories or times from your childhood drove you to be in the fashion industry?
Oh, wow. Well, when I was a child, I never dreamed I would be in the fashion industry. I always thought I would be something more of a social worker, because I loved being outside and I loved working as a camp, as a volunteer, and then as summer jobs and fashion. My mother was a fashion model in Cincinnati, and so I got to go to a lot of her shows, and that was fascinating, but I never thought of it for me until in college, when at that time, I thought I could be a teacher, a secretary, or a nurse. In the late 50s, those were opportunities for women, period. So I went through to get a degree in high school English, in English, but to teach high school English. After a couple years of college, I thought, you know what, I really don't want to teach. So I went to an English professor, and I said, what can I do if I don't teach? He became very indignant, and he said, what can't you do? English majors, you learn how to think, you learn how to write, you learn how to express yourself. He went on and on and on. Great. Went through as an English major, and that summer, the place where I'd worked, the camp, closed down. So I took an internship, summer internship, at a retail store downtown. That's when I became interested in fashion, because I kind of fell in love with retail. It fascinated me and it intrigued me. And so my senior year, when I was interviewing for jobs, I interviewed at this particular store where I'd had an internship. It was called Shillito's. Now it's Macy's, but then it was a big store downtown. And got hired for what they called their executive development program. So, and from there I went on from personnel, doing a lot of writing, to fashion office. And it just kind of happened when they said the world was, half of the population was under 25. And they decided, our management decided, we needed a youth coordinator to kind of bring these young people in. That was me, my job.
Gotcha. All right, so you're a proud graduate of the class of 1960. What experiences in high school helped guide you to your career?
Guide me to my career? Oh, let me think. Okay. High school at Mariemont. You know, when I came down to Mariemont, it was my sophomore year, because Terrace Park had their own high school, right. And then we had no place to go when the village of Newtown poured out. I came down to Mariemont, and I kind of thought of Terrace Park as like a country school. I thought of Mariemont as city, big time, you know, sophisticated. So I came down here, and I noticed that a lot of girls were dressed just right and wore makeup and things that I just was like, what is this? So I kind of was intrigued by that and why they did that. And then there was this opportunity in high school for fashion boards. Now, I did not try out, nor was I on a fashion board, but one of my best friends was. And so I was involved in some of her experiences, and they looked like a lot of fun. So that's, I guess, through her and through high school, she represented Mariemont on a teen fashion board. And so that's when I really started thinking about it.
All right. What advice would you give to high school students who are trying to discover a passion like you did?
Oh, I would say be creative. Think for yourself, and do not be afraid of taking chances. I think so often, I must say young people, all people are kind of following what they think they should follow, what they think they should do. And if you step out of the box and think, you know what, maybe I really don't want to do that. Maybe I really don't want to teach or don't want to be a fashion director. I want to be this or that, and follow it. So I would really strongly recommend to follow your passion and not be afraid of it, and not be afraid to take a chance. I mean, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. You can start over and try something else. But too often, I think people of all ages, of all walks of life, are reluctant to try different things, try to make changes. And if you do it, if you follow your dream, I think you'll end up being happy, hopefully.
So, through all your times in the fashion industry, one of your highlights was working with Ralph Lauren. What was that experience like?
Well, Ralph Lauren was a big fashion name. And I used to go to New York with my job at Shillito's about once a month with the buyers. And Ralph Lauren had very sophisticated fashions. And I looked at him from a distance, okay? So I was doing teen work and under 25. Didn't have direct experience with him then, kind of was in awe of him. Years later, when I went back to work and worked at Gidding, which was a very high fashion, very exclusive fashion store downtown, that's when I got to know Ralph Lauren. I say know him. I would know him from a distance. I was in a showroom. He always walked around. He always was super friendly to everybody. And so his people were kind of like he was in that they were very natural, very down to earth. And his designs really kind of expressed that. As well known as he was, as sophisticated as he was, he never was way out there. He was very just understated, refined, and he was a lovely man, just very, very easy to meet.
What was the transition like when you retired from full-time work and then got into motherhood, and what message would you share with young people about balancing career and family?
Okay. It's a challenge. I mean, when I first retired from Shillito's, I use the word retired loosely, but I had been there for 5 years and started a family. And be perfectly honest, when I first left, I thought, because I loved my job. I loved going to California and New York and all of the activities, and I thought, ooh, am I going to be able to handle this? I never looked back because I really loved being a mom and spending a lot of preschool time with my kids. Now, advice I would give in this day and age, it doesn't always work for everybody to live on one income. But if you can have those early years at home with your kids, you never get them back. The kids probably survive very well with a nanny or some daycare of different kinds. I think the mothers miss out. I would have missed out terribly if I hadn't had those years. Once my kids got in school, even kindergarten, grade, of course I didn't see them as much because they were in school all day, but I was still very involved. And when I did go back, I was approached. I had an opportunity. I'd been doing a lot of freelance work. And the opportunity was really a nice one because I worked it out with the owner of the Gidding, and I said, I've been very involved with my kids. I don't want to work weekends. I don't want to work nights. Downtown stores were open at night. But I didn't sell, so I didn't need to be there. And I was lucky that worked out. I could still, be what I wanted to be with the kids. But that doesn't always happen. And as I said, it was a challenge because it was like running from work to a sporting event to a musical event and getting home, getting dinner, it was nonstop. But it was fun, it was interesting, it was exciting. And for me, it was a great time to do both. Right. To do both, yeah.
All right, and finally, so you do a lot of volunteer work post career. Why was that so important to you?
Well, I always felt it was very important to give back. And my first summer job at the Fresh Air Farm for inner city kids, I really met a different type of family than Mariemont Terrace Park. I met families from the inner city, and poverty was a big issue. And I just felt, what's wrong here? This is the United States of America. We shouldn't have this kind of poverty. We shouldn't have schools that kids are falling asleep Not the kids don't fall asleep anyway, but, you know, I mean, little kids put their heads on the desk and they're out. So I just felt a need to give back. And that's when it started, when I had witnessed this at the Fresh Air Farm. It never really left me, even when I was working full-time at Shillito's and I had teen board kids from all over the city and got to experience different schools. I thought, you know, life isn't always like it is in Mariemont or Terrace Park. And so I felt like I needed to get involved. I taught a lot of what they called self-improvement classes for young girls who had low self-esteem. And I did those while I was working. And then when I stopped working full-time, I continued with them. And I really never stopped doing them. And it was through a mentoring program or through inter-parish ministry, whatever it was working with young people and feeling like I was giving something back. I just still, to this day, if I could give any advice to any young person, I would say, give back. We're very fortunate. Give back.
All right. And then just to wrap things up, is there anything else you'd like to share that wasn't already said? Or?
No, I don't. Well, just I appreciate this day. I'm flattered to be honored by such a wonderful educational establishment. I went here, obviously. My sister and brother-in-law went here. My two only children went here. 3 out of my 5 grandchildren went here. So obviously I believe in the school system. I think it's wonderful. I'm very impressed with the new building and the support that the community gives education, because education is so important.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you.